What's happening, everybody? Hope you're doing great. Everybody's doing good and enjoying the morning. I am, and I'm so stoked to be with you guys. So good to have everybody in the house today. And yeah, man, listening to some of that music. And by the way, my name's Bo Willette, if you don't know, and great to have you on the Devo, the devotion with us this morning, with me this morning. And some of that college guitar playing. Yeah, Sylvia used to see me play those concerts back in the day, and those are actually clips. Those are actually instrument me playing concerts. That's what they did, is record those things when you're in these auditoriums, and yeah, that's me. So, pretty cool. And some of those pieces I don't know still. I don't know anymore. So I have to kind of relearn a lot of them. Some of them I do know still, and I have to kind of figure it out. But anyway, fun stuff. Hey, we're going to do a first today, in that we're going to be doing a devotion out of Genesis chapter 5. I know that sounds kind of weird, and this is the first. You ain't going to see this anywhere. I don't think this is going to be on any devotion book that you've ever read in your life. Yeah, we are going through the Bible chapter by chapter, and since there's chapter 5, we're going to do it. And we're just going to go over it and just, don't check your mind out too much, with some of the stuff, the genealogy stuff, because there is some neat things here that I always like to see. And so, good morning, Kurt and Sharon and Marcia. And let's see, Casey's in the house today. Tina, Paula, so Bob, so great crew in the house. So I'm going to read I'm going to first start this Devo in the old King James Version, because it really highlights some things. And then I might read the rest from the Tanakh, or what is known as the Hebrew translation, the actual Hebrew text. The Tanakh is the Old Testament, which includes the prophets and the writings, and you can find this at a garage store or a garage sale, probably, of maybe a Jewish family that maybe has too many of these. But anyway, I might read a little bit from that translation as well. So let's get into it. Okay, Genesis chapter 5. We just got done the genealogy of Cain, and that was important, kind of. But this is what it says. And let me get into the old King James version. The actually old 1611. Woo, that's old, right? Absolutely. That was before my day. That's for sure. So it says, this is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day God created man, in the likeness of God he made him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam, in the day when they were created. So when it says this is the book, by the way, just think of that being the word record. This is the record of the generations of Adam. Now, I just love how God has communicated to us, and there's so much detail in it. And that is probably the big reason why I love the Bible so much. Obviously, because of who it's talking to, who it's referring to, who it's revealing. But aren't you just excited that God has so much content in His Word? And there's records. There's things for us to see and to really learn from. God has put a record of Him in history for us to lean on, for us to hold fast to, for us to have some confidence in. When when you have confidence in a bridge, it's because you know that it's stable, right? That bridge is not going to give out. And if for some reason you were on a bridge or I was on a bridge and I felt that thing that it didn't have stability, God, that would really bring me to a place of not having much confidence. I don't know if I want to take another step. forward? I mean, is it really going to hold me, in the difficult time? But God gives us a record so that we can look back and we can see his fingerprints. We can see his hand, his architectural work. When the Bible talks about the creation of the world in the New Testament, it uses the word that we get, architect. Jesus is the architect. Isn't that cool? He is the one who builds the bridge. He knows how it works. He puts it together. When the Bible talks about faith being the substance of things hoped for, in the book of Hebrews, chapter it's 11, I think it is 11 verse 1. When it talks about that substance, a lot of these words carry this idea of foundation, substructures, things that hold up, things that bear up under weight. There's an evidence to it. There's something that we can look at, and this is what I love, is it says this is the record of the generations of Adam. Some people, back in the day, I used to go, man, Adam, there ain't no Adam. What are you talking about, Adam and Eve? That's lame. That's how I used to talk. No joke. That's how it was. That's how I was. And, I would really discourage that kind of stuff, saying that's so out of touch. I mean, what, that have you, I don't know if you guys were like that at all, but I used to really diss on this stuff like Adam, that's ridiculous. Because I thought the Bible just said things like, there was once this person Adam, and then he was an angel, and then he had a halo, and that's kind of how I would think in my head, that he was like some master saint, and then Jesus appeared and something like that. I had no clue. I had no clue the Bible was going to say this is the record, actually, of the generations of Adam. So the Bible wasn't just talking about Adam being the first human being, but is actually telling us that giving us a record of his family line. Do you see how amazing that is? Like, what is your family line? Now, I could pull out of the file cabinet right here something my mother has done for me, and that is she has pulled me out a genealogy, or she has given me a genealogy of a lot of her side of the family. And she's done some work in that department to really give my brother and I a little bit of understanding into our family line. And which is kind of interesting. It's kind of neat to look at that. And we all are into those, what are they? Those things, you know what I'm talking about? Those commercials where like know your family and, get to know your family thing, and that kind of understanding. A lot of us really are into that kind of thing. And, so people want to know, sometimes their background. And that gives some validity, right, of who you are. For some people, that really holds them or gives them a lot more, kind of in a sense, a purpose, a meaning. Like, wow, I'm from this group of people, I'm from this line. And some people really put a lot of weight in that, right? And so they can walk forward over that bridge knowing they have even more stability. That bridge has been built up. It's been made by the architect. It has substructure. It can take pressure, and that's all in understanding our background, the record of us as human beings. Well, the Bible gives us that, and that's the uniqueness of the biblical text. Never, ever just shy away from that truth. That's the beauty of the Bible. Is if someone says, hey, I just don't believe Adam existed, well, great. You can say that, but let's look at Genesis chapter 5, because this is the genealogy of Adam. So if Adam didn't exist, then I guess none of these people existed. All these people that it's talking about didn't exist. And you start seeing kind of how foolish maybe that argument that there was no such person as Adam starts to be. Is like, because this is all talking about real things. It's all talking about real people in real places. And it goes down meticulously through a genealogy. And, so this is how it starts. This is the record of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, so we kind of backtrack just a titch, a little, what's that called? A little sermon introduction, if you will. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God, he made him, right? In the image of God, in the likeness of God. We have a likeness of God. Some people have looked at that and said, hey, that's kind of neat. We have something spiritual about us. We have a spiritual part of our lives. We're not just instinctual like the animals, but we actually have a God conscious. And I find that weird. I don't know about you, but I always thought this thought. Why would we as human beings, comma, if there was no God, why would we even imagine a God? Like, if there isn't a God, like, why, and all we had was what is seen here, then why would I even imagine a deity? What would be the point of imagining a deity? And it would always puzzle me. Why do we have this brain, this conscience idea of right and wrong? And it's not just instinctual like an animal, right? You look at your animal and they're just kind of cruise. They're doing it. They think, maybe they're thinking through something. I don't know, but they're just kind of going off. They see the food, they go. Human beings, man, we could see the food and we could sit there and have a philosophical chat about the food. Isn't that cool? We could talk about it. We could kind of mull it over. We can, get some coffee. We can talk a little bit about the food. And I think, wow, how interesting that is that God has made us with this capacity to be able to not just desire things, have an innate, instinctual desire for things. And by the way, when things go astray in our life, it's because the instincts in your life are getting bent. We have a desire for security. But if you desire security too much in people, what happens? Then you're demanding too much of them. See, the instinctual idea of being secure can get bent, and then we have a problem. Fear is an instinct that's very good. But if your fear instinct gets bent, it gets distorted, then what happens? You start fearing too much, and it starts now messing with your whole life. Your whole life now is reactionary to this fear. You're motivated by fear. Sexual relationships are very instinctual. Human beings have sex. That's what they do. They procreate. This passage even tells us that. But when our sexual instincts go astray, right? When the instincts get bent, when they get off course, if you will, they stay not within its parameters, if you will, but they start going off the spectrum, then it creates a problem. You take all those instincts we have, and when they get tweaked, then we are bent. We go astray. We're going in the wrong directions. These instincts need to stay within a certain parameter. And we have an ability, though, to override our instincts, to be able to actually look at our instincts and go, yeah, maybe my instinct is to do that, but should I do that? Ought to I do that? See, we're made in the likeness of God. We have a really unique ability and capacity to do this. So we have, in a sense, a spiritual mindset. We have a mind that can understand a divine being. We have a mind who is able to contemplate and, if you will, kind of pontificate, another cool word, right, over the divine things, to override our instincts. But isn't that neat that God has made us in his image and his likeness? Now, if I were to throw that out in society and I said, man, there ain't no God, and this is how I kind of thought when I was young, and, what I like to say is young and dumb. And now I'm just a little older and maybe hopefully not so dumb, but, still needing so much help. But when you're young, you kind of go, there's no God, there's no need for God. But then what am I then? What am I going off of? What am I making decisions based off? Just off my instinct, just what I want. It's just about me, right? It's not about God and contemplating purpose and meaning, but it's about just me and what I want to do. And we become very narcissistic human beings. It says we're made in the likeness of God. So, man, I love how it reiterates that point again. Very important. It's repeating it, so it must be important. So God's trying to bring us to this idea that it's very important that we're made in his image. Now he says male and female created he them. This is the second time this phrase is used as well. Male and female created he them. And this is weird because you get the idea that there's a weird play on the pluralities, and I want you to see this in verse 2 of the pronouns. Male and female male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam. 1. He called their name Adam. They are two, but they are part of a unit, under one name, if you will, under one banner. When people get married, they come under one name, right? Why? Because this is the picture of Genesis chapter 5. That just as God is one, and God says, let us, remember Genesis chapter 1? God says, let us, plurality. God says, let us. He's talking in a plurality sense. Let us make man in our image. The word our is used. The word us is used when God's speaking. And here we see this same kind of pattern going with Adam and Eve. He created them and gave them one name. Out of plurality, or in this plurality, there's a unit. There's a togetherness. When you go buy eggs, you buy 1 dozen eggs. It's what we mean is there's one carton. One. Is it just one egg? No, it's one of a 12. That's what 1 dozen means, right? Do you get the idea? There's one singular of many. And this is what God is doing, this replication. It's way cool. God creates something that is unique to him, that bears his image, his likeness of him being a unique deity. He is the deity, and he's unique. He has a unity and a diversity within him. So it says, male and female, he created them and blessed them. God blesses them together. Isn't that cool? He blesses them together. And this is early on, right? The first real big blessing we see in the Bible is God blessing Adam and Eve together. Their togetherness, their unity, their oneness. Now, what was Jesus' first miracle? Where was it at? Ooh, you got it. It was at a wedding, right? Kind of unique, right? Why would Jesus bless the wedding and just be like, hey, I'm going to bless this wedding? Awesome. This is great. This is what it's about. It's what it's all about. Male, female, he created them. One name. I'm giving them one name. They're coming underneath one. Jesus is at the wedding. He sees the creation in its sense, the likeness of his Father before him, and male, female created them. They come together, and voila, Jesus blesses it with an abundance of joy, abundance of wine, just like Genesis chapter 5. Wow. Pretty cool, huh? So male and female, he created them. What a cool Devo, huh? Man, God's amazing. He wants to bless us. He wants to bless our families, and he wants us to understand the importance of our lives as together, even sexually and family-wise. That it's not something for us just to do what we want to do, like how I think in my narcissistic way. Just I want to do what I want to do, right? But that there's purpose and that there's meaning behind his creation. And God blesses this and says, man, this is amazing. And to be able to glorify God, man, what a cool thing to think of this morning. that maybe I can glorify God by coming and submitting to him, submitting to his ways, and letting his ways be what shines forth from my life. Maybe not my ways, not doing things my way, my narcissistic, selfish, self-righteous way, but instead let me replace that with wanting to glorify God and let his ways shine in me. Let his life, his ways, his obedience shine in me so that people see his ways, not my way, because my way is always distorted, but his way is the right way. So I think that's cool, man. I really like that. I think that's neat. And I think that's kind of a cool Devo already. So it says Adam lived 130 years. Now I want to read this because I think it's really fascinating. And I'll read from the Tanakh here, okay? And it says, when Adam had lived 130 years, he begot a son in his likeness after his image. So now you see, now they're coming in the image of Seth, right? Adam had lived 130 years. He begot his son in the likeness after his image. So Seth comes in the image of Adam, and he named him Seth. This idea that in the image, in the likeness of whatever Adam is, so now it is passed on. And it says, after the birth of Seth, Adam lived 800 years. Now, you got to pull up a chart on Google and just, or DuckDuckGo or whatever you're on, and just pull up, genealogy chart of Adam. And you go through the lengths of years these people lived. And there's all kinds of reasons that they lived long. And I'm not going to get into all that today. But I just want you to see how interesting this is. So Seth lived a certain amount of years, 800 years, and begot sons and daughters. All the days of Adam lived, Adam lived that long, 800 years, and begot sons and daughters. So there's many sons, many daughters of Adam. We don't know who they are. They're not listed. Where did Cain get his wife? Adam and Eve had many kids. That's why. And it says, but we're just not told. Remember, this is the record of Adam's line. So, and it gets specific. We're going to get into Seth's line. Yesterday, we got into Cain's line a little bit, right? So all the days of Adam came to 930 years, and then he died. Woo! And then Seth had lived 105 years, and he begot Enosh. After the birth of Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and begot sons and daughters. Now you see this likeness, this pattern. Family matters. There is something about this procreation and family and how it bears the image of God. It bears the likeness, the creativity of God, and the unique nature of God as well. It says, all of Seth's days came to 912 years, and then he died. And when Enosh had lived 90 years, he begot Kenan. And after the birth of Kenan, Enosh lived 815 years, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Enosh came to 905, and then he died. So again, we don't know all the sons and daughters of everybody, but all I know is people are living long and they're having a lot of babies, right? It says, when Kenan had lived 70 years, he begot Mahalalel. After the birth of Mahalalel, Kenan lived 840 years and begot sons and daughters. All the days of Kenan came to 910 years, then he died. Okay, so it keeps going, right? And it keeps going. And we get to this guy in verse 18. When Jared had lived 162 years, he begot Enoch. And after the birth of Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and begot sons and daughters. All the days of Jared came to 962. Wow, that's a lot. That's an old age. And then he died. Now, when Enoch had lived 65 years, he begot Methuselah. Can you say that? Methuselah. And after the birth of Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years, and he begot sons and daughters. After the days of Enoch came to 365 years. Not days, years. Enoch walked with God, and he was no more, for God took him. Whoa! So Enoch, we have this really interesting asterisk in the genealogy when it comes to Enoch. Everything seems to flow pretty well. Hey, this person lived this long, sons and daughters, and then the son, the genealogy that it's looking at, the specific son, the specific line here of the probably I guess of the firstborn maybe of the father, the parents is now being emphasized, and then they have more sons and daughters and blah 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 blah, so forth and so on, and Enoch walks with God, and then God took him. Where did God take him? I don't know where God took him. But isn't that very interesting? Enoch is a guy who we don't see him dying. We see him just being took. Isn't that interesting? Very early on in the Bible, there is this hint that not everybody is going to go the way of most people, of just living and dying. Having families, living, dying, having families, living, dying. That some people will live, have families, die, and some people will not die. Now it's interesting because the New Testament talks about an event called the Rapture of the church. The Rapture, being caught up with God in the clouds. You can read 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and check that out. But when it talks about that, you talk about a time where people will not die. They actually will be taken while they are alive. Very interesting. Is this what Jesus meant when he said, I think it's in Matthew chapter 25, where Jesus said, 2 people will be in the fields. One will be taken and one will be left. Is that what he's referring to? It's interesting. So it says when Methuselah had lived 187 years. Hey, and by the way, I'm getting somewhere, so just hold on to your hats. He begot Lamech. After the birth of Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and begot sons and daughters. All the days of Methuselah came to 969 years, and then he died. Trivia, who's the oldest person in the Bible? Okay, we just did it. We just read it. Methuselah. When Lamech had lived 182 years, he begot a son, and he named him Noah. Okay, now we're starting to get somewhere, right? Noah, grace, saying, this one, comfort, Noah. I think of that, his name, meaning something like that, comfort, console, that kind of idea, I think. It says, the one will provide us relief, and maybe that's the name, relief, from our work and from our toil of our hands, the curse. Maybe this one will provide. And the idea is everybody's looking for the one who's going to restore this relationship with God. You get the idea. Don't you get that? It's like the Bible keeps kind of bringing up this idea. Eve has a child, Cain. This is it. This is going to be the guy who's going to, the one that was prophesied about, that's going to come and crush Satan, that serpent who got me in the garden. You get that a couple chapters ago, and now you get this chapter where Noah's born, and people say, hey, maybe this is the one who's going to provide relief from our work and from our toil in our hands. Again, the curse. Maybe this one's going to provide relief from the curse out of the very soil which the Lord placed under a curse. Do we have a generational curse? Well, yeah, we're under Adam. Yeah, the curse of being banished, divorced from the garden, right? Yeah, separated, from the Garden of Eden, this moment, this relationship with God. And anyway, it says, after the birth of Noah, Lamech lived 595 years and begot sons and daughters. All the days of Lamech were 777 years. Then he died. Very cool name, our age of death, right? 777. Reminds me of a Striper cover. I don't know if you remember the band Striper back in the day, but man, 777, to hell with the devil. And when Noah had lived 500 years, Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, let me show you the cool part of this and just let you see just the amazing work of God. Okay? So we see the generations spelled out like this. Adam, Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah. Those are the people that we just went through. Now, if we go through their names, this is what they mean. Oh, let me move it a little aside. There you go. You can see that, right? I know I'm messing around with it, but hopefully your eyes are okay. So Adam is man. That's what his name means. Seth means appointed. Enosh means mortal. You go down here. Kenan, sorrow. Mahalalel, the blessed God. Jared shall come down. Enoch, teaching. Methuselah, his death shall bring. Lamech, the despairing. Noah, comfort or rest. So let's go through this. Let's go through what this genealogy in chapter 5, what God is trying to say to us. Adam, man is. Seth, appointed. Enosh, mortal. Kenan, sorrow. Mahalel, the blessed God, shall come down. Jared. Enoch, teaching. Methuselah, his death shall bring. Lamech, the despairing. Noah, comfort. What about that? Is that not cool or what? So why is this genealogy here? Well, is it an early message of God? Man is appointed mortal, sorrowful. The blessed God shall come down, teaching. His death shall bring despairing comfort and rest. Is this not an early gospel presentation to the people? Is that God is going to come down and he's going to teach. His death shall bring rest to us. Is that not cool or what? You know, what a gem in this passage. That God has a plan, he has a purpose, and he's got, his message goes all the way back to the beginning. Christianity did not start in the New Testament. That's so wrong. So wrong. A lot of people say that when they're talking in Discovery Channel or something like that. Christianity started 2,000 years ago and blah, blah, blah. No. No, the message of Christianity began all the way back, right, with these wonderful prophecies that through the woman, through her seed, would come one who will crush Satan and bring back reconciliation. And this is the unique coolness of our God. We serve an amazing God, and his word is amazing. And he's made us amazing as well. You might not think you're too amazing, but God's created you literally amazing. So let's hopefully today bear some of that glory of God instead of our own glory, and seek to honor him today, for he is definitely worthy. You guys take care, okay? Have a great one. Okay, great having some time with you. Bye-bye.